Cheaters of Reddit, how did the work-from-home situation affected the affair you were having? One of my staff found out her husband was having an affair at the beginning of lockdown. While we were waiting for IT equipment, we had staff log onto the system using their own devices, and her husband had saved a hotel booking confirmation to the desktop of the laptop she hadn't used for a while. Idiot. I've heard a few stories of people getting caught due to the fact that constant texting became real obvious. One case of someone getting caught for inviting people from a dating app over to the house while everyone else was out working. Personally, I have no idea how people find the time to have a job and 2 relationships. Just ridiculous. Last year, Jaguar Land Rover had to shed 4,500 employees to reduce their mounting debts. They did this by offering a fat voluntary redundancy package. I mean, this thing was gold-plated. If you'd worked there for over 20 years, you were being given almost £40,000 to walk away, and the guys within 10 years of retirement were going for it. Apart from one fella. See, he had a testing job at Millbrook. So one week he was in Warwick, and the next at Millbrook, and alternated every week. He'd been in that role since forever, and had a wife and kids in Warwick, and also had cultivated a long-term girlfriend and even had kids near Millbrook. Neither knew about the other, and he was telling both families that he was away with work on the alternating weeks. The guy had kept this up for 15 years plus, and I cannot imagine the deceit gymnastics his brain would have to do to keep the lies going. One day he said that he's not looking forwards to retiring, as both women will obviously be expecting him to retire to them. His one family. So that was his deadline. So this VR package comes around and he has to decline a tax-free lump sum and the ability to retire early, because he cannot get out of this mess he's in. I left at this time, but he stayed, and must have thought he got a say of execution. But from what colleagues have said is that when lockdown came into effect he was furloughed. He got found out anyway, and is now being sued and divorced by both women, as well as missing out all that lovely cash. I have no sympathy for him. This happened at the beginning of quarantine. So my friend got a call from her co-worker at 2 a.m. Co-worker was drunk as hell and was stranded. My friend picked her up and offered her the couch to sleep on and sober up until morning when buses would run again. My friend woke up to find her boyfriend and the co-worker having sex right next to her in their bed. She described it as being passionate and almost romantic. My friend freaked out and left right away. Few days later, people start finding out. The co-worker claimed it was rape but didn't want to go to the cops. The boyfriend says he was too drunk. The co-worker's own boyfriend decided to stay with her. My friend and her boyfriend had to live together for a few months during quarantine until she found her own place. Best part, a few weeks ago, the 2 cheaters were caught fucking in public and were charged for public indecency. COVID made it easier for my husband to cheat. He was laid off for 8 weeks and I was still working full-time. My workload doubled, so I would be home later than usual and extremely exhausted. He would sneak them in the back door while I was asleep at night. Not me, but a friend was living with her partner through lockdown. Thought he was going for long dog walks or to visit his mum. Turns out he was actually going to his pregnant girlfriend's house. My neighbor got busted cheating on his Corona diet that he and his wife were doing. He'd go out for a run up to Little Caesars, eat a pizza and drink a soda, then come home sweaty and directly take a shower and brush his teeth to hide it from his wife, who was diligently doing her part in the diet. He was outed when restrictions relaxed around here and one of his teenagers spotting him coming out of the restaurant holding a bag. Okay, so I'm not the cheater, but I was unknowingly the mistress. And COVID actually helped him get away with it longer. Basically, we had started dating about a month or two prior to the initial lockdowns. His father had gotten really sick a few years prior, so he had started renting his house out and moved back in with his parents to help with their mortgage, and then stayed to continue to help his mom after his dad had passed. Seeing as we weren't dating very long, me going to his place pre-pandemic seemed a little premature if it meant meeting his mother. Once the pandemic started, he said he was terrified of also losing his mother, who is high risk due to her age and diabetes. So they were extremely cautious about who they spent time with. He didn't want to worry her, so he basically had to sneak around a bit to see me. Once he started working from home, he'd come see me by telling his mom he had to go to the store or pick something up from his office, which seemed fine for a while. But the longer it went on, and the more things started opening up, the less sense it made. I eventually put my FBI hat on and from some deep digging, found his wife's Facebook account. I never expected it because when we were dating normally before the shutdown, we saw each other almost every day, and he was always super affectionate with me in public, holding my hand, kissing me, etc. He had even asked me questions from his mom while on the phone with me, as if she was in the room. So it made me feel like she knew about me and was in the loop. But in hindsight, nobody else was there. I definitely would have questioned things much sooner if it wasn't for the pandemic. I know it's not the same, but I have wondered how the prevalence of Ring doorbells has affected cheaters. So the person I thought was my girlfriend was actually having an affair with me. Lockdown made her way less available, especially during normal daytime hours, which had never been an issue before. Started getting very suspicious when she would only speak on the phone in the car. There were a lot of other red flags, but lockdown made it way harder for her to hide her bullshit. My dad just got busted last week for this. So normally he just drives his own car. But recently he has been using my mom's car a bunch to go run errands because it gets better mileage. Well, he used it so often that the Bluetooth in the car automatically connected to his phone when he and my mom got in the car to go to my grandpa's funeral. On cue the car reading out louder. Text from my dad's mistress. After 36 plus years of marriage and 8 children, my parents just separated. Thanks for fucking up our family more than it already was, Dad. My husband now knows my weight gain is from a love of Ritz crackers and Bursan instead of not getting my keto macros right. There's a whole group of men with other children and family who they can't visit because of quarantine. Hard to find an excuse to leave the house for a long periods of time when you now work from home. The mother kids family must wonder why dad is never home anymore, or leave the house to see them and risk getting caught by original family. Yikes. Speaking on behalf of my wife that was cheating, she left a Facebook message to the co-worker she was having sex with, who I also know and considered a friend, that she misses him and can't wait to have multiple quickies since they only work one day a week because of COVID and the rest from home. FML. On my way out. Edit. Thank you for the silver. I'd like to thank my wife's whorish ways for making this possible. My parents broke quarantine rules to have a family friend over and my mom ended up sleeping with him. My sister cheated on her husband of 7 years. Left him in June 2020. Started dating the guy she was cheating with. They went to Mexico, got engaged, moved in with then fiancé. She has since moved out of his house and called off the engagement wedding that they planned for the 12th of November 20. Texted her ex-husband asking to work it out. His new GF texted my sister telling her to leave her man alone, and my sister is now dating the guy she was cheating with again. They are just not spending time with their kids together. The kids lived together last week. Talk about some crazy shit. I used to feed the neighbor's cat a little handful of kibble and give her a scritch when I was leaving for work through the garage. Within a week the cat was howling at the door, wondering where I was. The seething side-eye from my main indoors kitty was withering. But I have no regrets. Answering this on behalf of a friend. The lockdown seemed to make it easy for him to get out of the house. He would go on daily bike rides in the middle of that day, and his co-worker, would pick him up around the corner and they'd check in at a local hotel. All was great until the shit hit the fan. It didn't stop my bill from cheating on my sister at all. In fact, working from home made it easier to cheat on my sister. He would ask out clients. He's an insurance agent, and go to business meetings or a night out with his friends while she took care of their 3 kids. We're in TX, so things haven't been shut down much. One night he got into a drunken altercation at a bar, and the cops were called after he left. Security had taken down his license plate number and the cops took him overnight, though any charges were dropped. While he was sitting in jail over the weekend, his phone kept going off, so my sister decided to take a look. She found tons of texts, emails, and pics between him and several women, many of which were pretty NSFW. That was the straw that broke the camel's back and was what got her to file for divorce from his abusive ass. My sister and their kids deserve better, and I'm glad she's going to be in a better situation soon. TLDR. Bill cheated on my sister very easily with multiple women. Got arrested. She found out about it and is now getting a divorce. My co-worker was having an affair with the 22-year-old project coordinator. Before COVID hit, she moved away and now he's locked down with his wife and 3 kids. And his wife is a nurse.